Good morning, Wham! Connections to nature. All right, we're going to read three stories. Obviously, only one today. And this one is John's Rambles. Okay, we're going to read this. Go ahead. And all three stories have a similar theme about nature. All right, we're going to read about this John Muir. John's Rambles by Jennifer Bodott. John Muir was an avid naturalist and writer who helped lead the early conservation movement in America. Muir was born in Scotland, but he spent much of his life working to save the American wilderness. He especially loved the Sierra Nevada mountains of California. Muir spent a summer exploring the Sierra Nevada mountain range while working as a sheep herder. That summer would shape the rest of Muir's life. Muir, an outdoorsman, had previously walked 1,609 kilometers, 1,000 miles, from Indiana to the Gulf of Mexico and explored tropical forests in Cuba. In 1868, John Muir came to San Francisco, California, seeking any place that is wild. Muir was anxious to find his way into less settled country. He set off on foot for Yosemite Valley. He took a blanket, some tea and bread, a plant press, and a notebook. Muir was eager to see if Yosemite was actually as beautiful as it looked in photos. He was enchanted by his first view of the valley and the Sierra Nevada mountain range, which he called the Range of Light. Muir stayed in California and took a job with a rancher named Mr. Delaney. Muir dreamed of exploring the Sierras further, but he lacked money for such a trip. In the summer of 1869, his problem was solved. Delaney asked Muir to join a group of men, dogs, and a flock of some 2,000 sheep as they made their way to high summer pastures above Yosemite Valley. This is exactly where Muir wished to go. Muir confessed he had little experience herding sheep, but he had only to make sure the shepherd did his job. Beyond that, Muir would be free to explore the mountains, which Delaney knew were the young man's passion. So, on June 3rd, the group set out. Muir, Delaney, Billy the shepherd, and two other ranch hands. As Muir climbed with the flock toward higher elevations, the true grandeur of Yosemite began revealing itself. Muir explored canyons and caves and eyed the snowy peaks that marked the trail's end. On June 8th, the group established their first base camp along the Merced River. There, the sheep would graze for the next month. Muir was responsible for washing dishes, making bread, and finding lost sheep. Carlo, a dog loaned to him by a local hunter, helped with the sheep. His duties as a naturalist included studying wildlife, collecting plants, and filling his journal with sketches and notes. Muir sometimes encountered other people. He met local Indians, ranchers, loggers, miners, and tourists. These early encounters with people using the land caused him concern over scars that human activities were leaving on the mountain ecosystem. Show the nice picture there. Okay.
Ooh.
Ooh. And they are really amazing. Now look at the other one. Ooh. In early June, the group headed for a new camp. They followed the Yosemite Trail, hiking at an elevation of about 2,133 meters, 7,000 feet. The sheep were allowed to eat and climb at their own pace among meadows and boulder fields. Muir was not a fan of sheep. He called them silly, woolly bundles, and busy nibblers. They were always getting stuck in bushes, running away, or balking at rivers, which terrified him. But thanks to the sheep, Muir was able to take daily rambles on his beloved mountain range. Muir often chose curiosity over caution. For example, He actually tiptoed along a 3-inch ledge to the very edge of Yosemite Falls. He put himself in the path of a bear, and he climbed to the top of Mount Hoffman, about 3,352 meters. That's 11,000 feet. One afternoon, Muir had a vision of his old college professor staying at a hotel in the valley below him. His professor had mentioned a possible trip to Yosemite. Muir had heard no further details from him. Muir immediately started scrambling down the mountain. After a few inquiries at the hotel, Muir did in fact track down his professor on a local trail, and they spent the day visiting. In early August, bears attacked and killed a number of sheep. The group kept moving and made their last camp at about 2,743 meters, 9,000 feet, in the Tuolumne Meadows. Along the Tuolumne River, Muir explored the woods, meadows, and nearby waterfalls, as well as Mono Lake and its surrounding desert. He climbed mountains, including Cathedral Peak, the first known ascent of that mountain. During this time, Muir became convinced that ancient glaciers had carved out Yosemite Valley. His theory differed from the claim that earthquakes had shaped the valley. In early September, the group broke camp. The sheep had enjoyed excellent grazing, and the group did not want to risk getting caught in an early snowstorm. They spent 2 weeks hiking down to the foothills. The weather was cooling, the rivers were dropping, the berries were ripening, and the grasses were dying. Summer was over. At trail's end, they counted the sheep. Only 13 were lost due to predators, injury, or running away. 3 were sold to ranchers. 9 became camp food. Muir had faced bears, starvation, mosquitoes, severe weather, and dangerous heights, and he had loved every minute of it. Muir's last journal entry told of his hope to experience the High Sierra again. Look at that nice picture. Okay. And we see Muir with Teddy Roosevelt. Muir did see more of the Sierra Nevada. He went to work at a sawmill on the banks of Yosemite Creek. For 2 years, Muir lived in the cabin he built at one end of the sawmill. Muir set the cabin high on stilts, then diverted creek water so it flowed under his cabin. He spent every free moment exploring, looking for evidence that glaciers had formed Yosemite Valley. In 1871, Muir found an active glacier high in the mountains. An active glacier is one that retreats and advances. He published an article about it, and he soon became known as an expert on Yosemite. Muir moved away from the area in 1874, but he wrote many articles about threats to the region, especially logging and ranching. He also fought to protect other wilderness areas throughout the country. In 1889, Muir wrote a series of articles discussing the damage sheep were causing to the Yosemite's ecosystem. Muir asked Congress to preserve Yosemite's landscape by making it a national park. His efforts paid off. Parts of the Yosemite region became a national park in 1890. However, Yosemite Valley and the nearby grove of giant sequoia trees were not included. When President Theodore Roosevelt took a camping trip in Yosemite with Muir in 1903, the naturalist persuaded Roosevelt to add these areas to the park. Muir was also instrumental in establishing other national parks, as well as a conservation group he named the Sierra Club. It still operates today. He wrote numerous articles and books over the next 25 years. Muir continued to be a voice for conservation until he died at age 76. Okay? Alright, so we'll do a full chicken tomorrow. Alright, so thanks a lot, guys, and you'll have a writing assignment with this one. And have a good day. Bye.